Welcome back to Markets Today. We are discussing the impact of coronavirus on the Kenyan economy. This is off the back of the Central Bank of Kenya pronouncements earlier in the week when he did issue a list of measures that he hopes will be able to help the economy and the business community be able to get through this season of the coronavirus pandemic. Now, we want to understand the technicalities of these pronouncements, and we are joined by a fintech enthusiast, Mr. Ndichu, who is the CEO as well as the co-founder of Wapi. Welcome to the show, Eddie.
Thank you, Mbide. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome.
And congratulations on all the good work you're doing.
Asante sana. Now, when we look at these announcements and what the CBK governor did, what's your take of the presser and the announcements that he issued?
So it was a very interesting day yesterday.
Yes.
To hear the announcements that were made. I think firstly, let me start by saying it's good and welcomed, because what this does, it allows for financial technology to start being mass market accepted, not just by telcos but also by banks.
Okay.
And it'll almost, in a sense, catalyze innovation within the industry. So, meaning that people will now have to rely on their mobile phones to be able to do transactions. It's a very good thing, and I think we'll continue to see more innovation, whether in banking or outside banking, come into the market.
All right.
However, it also made me realize something I've always been talking about, of exactly where we are, especially in 2020. We're in the post-mobile money era, where the utility of just simply making a payment, is growing higher, and more and more needs to be done and developed for customers to be able to access their financial services.
Okay.
The governor said very popularly, the bank account, see the bank account and my mobile wallet as one thing.
Yes.
And that was a reality check, because what it also says very loudly is central bank is bringing into oversight the mobile money platform and the mobile money services. And if you notice the tone, it was bankers and the banking industry presenting about mobile money.
That was interesting.
So the industry is taking shape, and I think central bank is taking more oversight over mobile money transactions, because it's realizing the relevance in the market. Okay. The other thing is because of the coronavirus, the central bank has taken up a very tough task. Cashless is a very hard thing. To remove cash from an economy is a very, very hard thing. Will they achieve it? We'll wait and see. It will take time. But for the immediate term, will it affect or influence the spread of corona? We don't know. We'll wait and see. But I know these things take time.
All right.
So yeah, largely those the presser and the pronouncements
positive.
Is a positive.
Okay.
However, remember, Bide, now in a mobile phone you can hold up to 3 times the amount of money.
Exactly.
That's increased risk.
Yes.
And that increased risk is, I think, puts central bank in a very interesting position, or maybe even compromising, because they will now have to scale up their capacity to have oversight over fintech. So it's a good thing. So maybe it'll encourage them to even issue more licenses, build new teams that can have oversight over things like mobile money or financial technology solutions.
Okay.
So in the long run, it's a positive thing. However, in the short term, it's a good thing that you're tackling cash, but will it help us not spread corona?
That's the jury's out on that.
The jury's out on that.
Okay, I like that you bring out the context of your bank account being synonymous with your mobile wallet. I do know for the longest, there's always been the conversation of interoperability and integrating the banking system with the telecom system. And everybody's always averse to Safaricom operating and dispensing services as a bank. Yeah. What did the central bank governor say yesterday, and what does this mean for Safaricom vis-a-vis the banks?
Well, specifically for Safaricom, because there are the mobile money players. There's T-Cash, there's Airtel Money. But for Safaricom, it means they're even now significantly more relevant, given that they have majority of the market share in mobile money and mobile money transactions and customers. What it means is that we'll start to stop differentiating between money on the phone and money in the bank.
And what does that mean, just plain and simple?
So firstly, all the money is sitting in the bank.
Okay.
It's just that now you're using your phone to access the money, as opposed to using a traditional media or channel, like a branch or ATM from a bank to access the money.
All right.
Now, it's because the bank account and the mobile wallet is synonymous or is one thing, it means now the preferred channel for you to access the funds.
It's going to be, so we've all, in terms of behavior, we've all moved.
We've all moved,
but now moved to the phone.
But now we're going to be more relevant because the share of wallet, there's more money sitting. You can have more money sitting in the wallet, although it's arguable how many people have 300,000.
It depends. You'd be surprised. Okay, yeah, that's true.
And especially around this time when businesses has significantly slowed down, so it will stop. You will stop needing or thinking about your bank in the same way, or how you manage your money in the same way.
Will I then start thinking more M-Pesa?
Yes, you will. So and that is very convenient for M-Pesa and you can see how central bank is trying to increase the oversight.
Exactly.
And saying, look, this is an eventuality. Let's accelerate it. Let's offer the limits. Let's offer customer. Let's make it mainstream.
Actually, just let me hold you on that point of the limits, because this whole conversation, by the time we got to yesterday when the central bank governor issued the different measures that he pronounced, the conversation started with Safaricom coming out and saying, we have waived fees for any transactions up to 1,000 shillings.
Yes.
Right? And then the next action point was, we have actually increased the limits that you can hold on your phone from 70,000 to 300,000, and you can be able to transact more than 1 million in a month.
Yes.
That's what they did.
Yes.
And then on the flip side of that, the central bank says there's going to be a quarantine for cash, and your bank wallet as well as your mobile wallet will be synonymous.
Yes.
Now, when you look at the filings by Safaricom, you do realize that the last reports saw 18% growth in M-Pesa revenues, and a third of M-Pesa is in transfers. Has Safaricom, in a way, through coronavirus, been ushered into a whole new universe of transfer and payments, and decided in the short term to forgo the revenues affiliated with 1,000 to gain a bigger ocean?
I think you're spot on the money.
Okay.
So remember, the mobile money, and largely M-Pesa, makes money from P2P transfers and agent transactions, because that's how money gets into the platform today. It's also a very expensive channel for M-Pesa to manage, to allow physical cash to go into their platform through thousands and thousands of agents.
That's a good point.
It is significantly faster and more convenient if that money goes seamlessly from the bank account and into the platform without you having to transfer. However, we've had one challenge. We all went and started using M-Pesa, but we never used mobile banking.
That's true.
And mobile banking, the service that you get from mobile service you get from your bank, is the only way you can move funds from your bank account
to M-Pesa.
To M-Pesa.
And then you move from there.
And then you move from there. So I think it's very convenient for Safaricom, because now because the wallet is bigger, a lot of the funds, or at least the expectation is that a lot of the funds will be coming in from the banks as opposed to the agent network, which presents some interesting dynamics. So now you have more money in the wallet. You need more use cases.
Exactly.
Other than simply P2P,
just transferring and paying for water.
So it's a big gamble, I think, because remember, a lot of the transactions are below 1,000 shillings. So, so that's a whole chunk of revenue that's just been wiped out. However, if you can allow more money to move into the platform, it means somehow either the money rotates within the platform or exits. Either way, you make money. So I think it's pretty interesting time I'm interested to see what the results will be at the end of this month, the end of the financial year. Whether the removal of those fees will impact their revenues, but you customers being more committed or using M-Pesa more, I see that increasing.
Eddie, you have been in this space for a very long time. You've even been a chief information officer for one of the larger banks. So when we are looking at what has just happened from a strategic perspective, are there any low-hanging fruits that Safaricom can quickly ramp up, so that if I'm an investor into Safaricom and say, this door has opened, do I feel that they have been waiting for this for the longest and they can quickly ramp up and generate additional revenue?
Yes, I think with the increase in limits. So now the mass market is not interesting anymore, right? it's rather the B2B side, the small businesses, is what is interesting.
Okay.
Because they're the ones who would hold or continue transacting large amounts of money, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. Getting a share of the small businesses like ourselves
Yes.
that are able to transact fully and 100% on the platform, complete to the payroll, that's how they can quickly increase their transactional revenue.
Yes.
As opposed to the one they've just they've seeded.
Okay.
And offer customers more reason to keep money in their platform, and that requires increasing the utilities, increasing the use cases. So, for instance, and that's why things like remittance,
yes.
Things like bulk payments, paying suppliers, paying
no, we just need a payroll.
salaries.
No, that's what we need.
Yeah, you just need a payroll.
It's applicable.
Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
have to.
Yeah.
So then, Eddie, by the time we go to elections, am I going to need a bank based on what has just happened yesterday?
I think banks will continue to be relevant because
Okay.
the oversight and the actual funds need to sit in a balance sheet. I think
Yes.
the banks will be relevant. The relationship, however, is gone.
Okay.
The relationship with customers, and not just me and you, but also businesses. And it's gone to the mobile phone, it's gone to the person who speaks to that customer every day. And I think that's what happens with fintechs. I think even Safaricom M-Pesa itself, will need to start thinking of itself not as a telco, but as a fintech.
Yes.
And then it begs those questions of when will this be carved out, etc.
Exactly.
But the relationships will continue to be managed by people innovating or capturing customers' attention.
Okay.
But the funds and the money will have to sit in
the
the bank,
balance sheet.
in the balance sheet somewhere.
Okay.
So largely, I see them losing revenue.
Yes. Who's losing
Significant
revenue? The banks?
Banks.
Okay, that's interesting because
Transactional revenue.
Exactly. The non-funded income has been growing steadily.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be a split eventually. 2020 is interesting, yeah. So the non-funded income, I think that's completely going to go.
Okay, that's painful because some of the banks that reported today,
yes,
for them, 32% of income is non-funded income.
Yes.
And then another trend that we are seeing is lower yields on the bonds. So their revenues, the margins are shrinking in as much as the rate cap has been removed.
Yeah.
And then now all of a sudden the non-funded income is going.
Yeah. So the transactional revenue, that's gone.
That's gone.
Unless they're going to be creative in their corporate products, in their business products, things like trade finance, maybe that's where they'll generate some non-funded income.
Okay.
What they'll end up having though is pretty large balance sheets or deposits, because they're funding or they're supporting all these fintechs that are mopping up value from the market.
Okay.
Now, what happens when you have a big balance sheet? You need to lend.
Yes.
Right? Otherwise, your ratios are going to look like
But
Standard Chartered.
where are you going? Okay, yeah.
Where you have large deposits and
yes.
you don't have enough products or enough transactions coming out, so you give shareholders back their capital.
Yes.
So again, this is going to be a challenge for them. Deploying capital is going to be a challenge for them, but they're going to have large balance sheets and
then where do you deploy? Because now I'm coming to this next question of just understanding coronavirus and the the impact on business.
Yeah.
Because just alluding to your last statement, you have big balance sheets, but the economy is shrinking.
Yeah.
So the appetite and demand for the kind of credit that is the balance sheets are holding is not necessarily there.
And this is why we need the fintechs, the financial innovation.
Why do we need the fintechs?
We need the fintechs because they'll create new products that are easily accessible to customers, that are actually convenient to customers, for them to be able to need and access that capital.
Is that happening?
Now with these announcements, I think it may. We hope it will happen.
Okay.
Has it been happening? No, it hasn't.
Okay.
But we also have the challenges of the monopoly. We need at least 10 M-Pesa platforms doing hundreds and hundreds of use cases for customers. The way people interact with their businesses and their money is very inconvenient. Even the business we do at Wapi Pay.
Yes. What business do you do at Wapi Pay?
So we're licensed and registered and set up in Singapore, and we set up Wapi Pay to be able to allow an African to make a payment into Asia instantaneously, conveniently, and at very low cost. All the way from India all the way down to Indonesia. And it's very interesting. We have quite a number of customers who have this need, but the only way they've been able to do it is by going to a branch, fill a form, and they use SWIFT, which takes 3 to 5 days.
Okay.
And of course, the exchange fees are costly because you're changing currencies, and it's all based on the US dollar. So when we set up in Singapore, we thought, I think this is an interesting problem to solve, considering about 200 billion US dollars moves from the Africa corridor into.
Oh, interesting. That's a huge chunk
into
of
the
money.
Asia corridor, of course, not just India, but largely through China.
Okay.
And the other Southeast Asia countries. But how do you do that conveniently on your mobile phone? And that's the problem we set out to do. So we started by simply doing platform-to-platform integration. So you have a big platform called WeChat in China. You have a big platform called M-Pesa here. How do you allow M-Pesa to WeChat transaction to happen conveniently and instantly for customers? We then went into offering customers global accounts. So today you can transact with Wapi Pay to be able to make a payment in anywhere in Asia in real time and fast. And then we're now getting into merchant acceptance, where we're offering merchants QR codes to be able to allow customers who are using Asia platforms like Alipay, WeChat to be able to make a payment instantly for that merchant.
Okay.
So that's largely Wapi Pay. But what we're realizing is, as we get into this new century, 2020, and as financial technology and innovation continues to happen, there's going to be significant demand for consumers to access such conveniences as, how can I pay somebody in China in under 30 seconds?
Wow.
And that creates an interesting market, because the customer now is demanding it, and they're going to look for whoever can give them that service.
Okay.
And it's interesting that Corona is happening now, because we believe that this is the century for globalization. Money will move faster across continents than ever before. However, not the people.
Okay, that's a good point. But wait, does this commentary change because of what we have seen happen to China? We're all dependent on China for the majority of the goods that we consume outside of food. So does this change because coronavirus started from China? There has been a shutdown of factories. Their production is not at the levels that we've been accustomed to. So does this narrative of globalization and money moving faster than people change?
And that's what's interesting. I know no one has a crystal ball.
Okay.
What is good is that at least as a customer, you won't be there. You don't go to your branch, remove physical cash, exchange it for US dollar, then go buy a ticket, get on a plane to go buy goods in China. We need to stop that from happening.
Okay.
So allow the payments to happen conveniently, allow the goods to come in conveniently.
Where will I meet the factory? Where will I meet the sellers? Are you connecting me to sellers?
That's eventually what we will do, but that's the thing. Because of coronavirus, we're realizing even faster now that this infrastructure needs to be set up, and it needs to be set up now, so that goods can move, but people can remain where they are, and payment is happening faster than ever.
Fair enough. That's a good challenge to have. But also on the back of this coronavirus, because I want to assume that your clients are SMEs and going to larger businesses and individuals as well.
Correct.
And people who are dependent on goods from China. Have you seen an increase or a decrease in demand since coronavirus started?
Well, there's been a decrease. Actually, there's a number, about 15% in the last 3 months.
Wow.
There are people who have their goods delayed. There are people who have who are not going through a good time because because when you buy these things, you buy them upfront.
Yes.
You pay upfront. So your capital or the loan you got here
you have to wait.
Is over there, and you wait because you want to turn around that capital very quickly. So you sell the goods and services quickly, and you can be able to grow your business.
Okay.
So that has slowed down. What is interesting
is
it's
the logistics that are actually slowing your processes down, not demand.
Not demand.
Okay.
But China is now slowly coming back, as I'm sure you've read.
Yes.
It's coming back now. The rest of the world is going down.
Yes.
Manufacturing has started kicking back, and not just in China, but across the Southeast Asia markets. Vietnam is a large market that is actually stealing a lot of manufacturing business from China. We're starting to see them coming back into production and manufacturing. So we're very hopeful in the next 2 to 3 months things will swing right back. But the question is, will the world be?
Well, it won't be what it was. I think the world it's just changed. We can't continue the way we have.
And so I think even for Kenyans, there's going to be a very difficult, and this is what we're not hearing, it's going to be a very difficult 2 to 3 months for individuals. They will need financial aid. They will need support. And we have to, we're waiting to hear from the Treasury what the plan is going to be, how they're going to pump liquidity into the market. You've seen Canada and the US aggressively doing that.
Pumping a lot of money into the economies. Okay.
Deferring tax payments, etc. So
okay, that's a sensitive topic, but yes, I hear you. But Eddie, on that note, we'll just take a quick break. Look out for the closing bell.